All right, let's get into it. We're about to journey into one of the most mysterious and honestly most powerful parts of ourselves, the ego. We're going to use some incredible insights from a text called The Path of Trust and the Secrets of the Self to try and decode this inner puzzle together.
So let's just dive right into the deep end, shall we? The whole thing kicks off with this fascinating, almost mind-bending question. It suggests that the ego, something it calls basically imaginary, is also the very key that unlocks the entire universe. So how on earth can something that's not even real hold that much power? Let's find out.
You see, the answer isn't just a simple definition you can look up. According to this source, it's found on a journey called the Path of Trust. And this isn't just about thinking your way through it, it's about actually walking a path to discover our real place in the grand scheme of things.
Now, any journey needs a map, right? Well, on this path of trust, these 6 concepts are basically our coordinates. I know, some of them might seem a little strange at first. Impotence, poverty. But they're all really about one thing: understanding our own limits. Recognizing what we aren't is the absolute first step to understanding what the ego is. After that, contemplation, compassion, and gratitude, they guide us the rest of the way.
So, with our coordinates in hand, we finally arrive at the central puzzle of this whole journey, the ego itself. And it's presented as something more than just psychology. It's almost magical, a talismanic key. The source starts us off with a pretty radical idea. The ego, or ENG as it's sometimes called, is fundamentally imaginary. It doesn't have a solid, real existence of its own. Just think of it like a concept in our mind, not a physical thing you can actually point to. Okay, but here's the twist. This imaginary thing is also described as this incredibly powerful key, a talisman even, that can open all the doors of the universe. The only catch? The key itself is a riddle we have to solve first. So how do we unlock this thing? Well, the secret, it turns out, is to ask a totally different question. Instead of asking what the ego is, we need to be asking what it does. Its real power isn't in what it's made of, but in what it's for. And this is a fantastic analogy to help it all click. Think about a meter stick. On its own, it's just a piece of wood, right? It has no value by itself. Its whole purpose is to measure other things. The source says the ego is exactly like that. It's a tool for comparison that lets us make sense of ourselves in relation to everything else. So, if the ego is a tool, that means we can use it in different ways. And those different ways lead to completely opposite results. This is the whole dynamic right here, the ascending versus the descending ego. Here's exactly how those two paths split. A descending ego gets everything wrong. It thinks it is the meter stick, that it has its own inherent value and its own light. By claiming it's the big deal, it falls. The ascending ego, though, it understands its role. It's modest. It knows it's just a tool for comparison, and by accepting that, it rises. This simple metaphor just nails it. The descending ego tries to be the sun, the source of all the light, which is just impossible. But the ascending ego gets it. It understands its true nature is to be a mirror, to humbly receive and reflect a light that comes from somewhere much greater. Its power isn't in creating light, but in reflecting it perfectly. So why does all this matter so much? Because when you finally unlock the ego, when we learn to use it as a mirror and not a sun, we're led to the ultimate destination of this entire journey, a deep, profound state of spiritual harmony. And this harmony isn't just one thing. It unfolds in these 3 beautiful stages. First, the mind and the heart finally stop fighting and they start working together. This alignment lets the soul sort of return to its pure original state. And then, finally, in that state of total clarity, our being becomes like a perfect mirror, reflecting divine qualities as clearly as a full moon on a calm night. And that brings us all the way back to ourselves, and to one last really powerful question. When it's misunderstood, our ego becomes a prison, trapping us in a false sense of self. But when we finally understand it, it becomes the master key. So the choice, at the end of the day, is ours. Is your ego a prison, or is it a key?